This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everyone, good morning again. This is Satish. Thanks everyone for joining this first session, overview session of the course. Quick introduction about me. I'm Satish, working in the IT industry for last 13 plus years. I have started as a performance tester and then made my journey towards a performance engineer, performance architect, and a product engineer. Been working with uh, one of the Indian IT company for the last 13 plus years. Okay, so today what we want to do is we wanted to make you all understand about how the course is structured, what are the various various sessions that will be part of this entire course, and I'll walk you through the entire content, provide a quick high-level overview on each of the session, which we are going to uh, look into it in detail in next 3.5 weeks, right? That is how I'm going to spend my time, so that you will get a feel of how exactly things are going to be there as part of the uh, course. Okay. Um, so again, the way the course is structured, right? It is structured in such a way that a performance tester, right? When we wanted to make a journey from a performance tester to engineer, uh, what typically the challenges that we face in any projects, right? So I have faced those challenges when I wanted to move from performance tester to engineer, either with the opportunity, when we know something, probably there will not be an opportunity for us to go and do this engineering, or when there is an opportunity coming in, we may not be that confident to take it up. Kind of a roadblock, of a mind block, where whether I will be able to do it, what is expected as an engineer. So with that as a background, we have created this course. How can a performance tester can move into the performance engineer? Though there are going to be a lot of things and performance engineer has to know, but how, I mean, what are the basic things he can grab it very quickly, and how can he make his journey towards performance engineering? So that is how the complete course is structured, both theoretically as well as practically. So every session, almost 80 percentage of the sessions will have both theory as well as the practical, and remaining 20 would be more of a knowledge sharing, for few concepts, where it will be more of a knowledge sharing from whatever we have seen with the projects. So with that, I'll probably go over to the session content, right? Before going to session content, probably I'll just spend a minute or two and giving a overview on a general performance engineering expectation from the market or from the projects, right? The expectations are always going to be more, I mean, probably from a interview JD perspective, or whenever we are going to enter into a project, always people think like a performance engineer is going to solve all the problems from overall system perspective, right? So let's think, what is the expectation, what is the reality, where we can start, where we can make progress. So general performance engineering, the expectation, right, or whatever they call it as, the roles of a performance engineer, or kind of a mixture of these skills, right? The expectation is he has to be good in performance testing. When I say performance testing, a person should have a good knowledge on probably understanding the non-functional requirements, workload, the performance scenarios, any of the load testing tool like Jmeter or load runner. So hopefully, I guess most of you might have already crossed this or probably doing this. So testing is one aspect, is going to be part of the performance engineer, because you need to create a realistic load. You need to understand who your end users are, or what is the non-functional requirements. That is how you're going to simulate a, a real world scenario. So testing is going to be one part. Second is system analysis. System analysis is a broader concept where a person has to be very good in analyzing the system with respect to finding the bottlenecks. So finding the bottlenecks, and then understanding where the problem could be, uh, getting into the diagnostics and providing recommendations. That's going to be part of the system analysis from the OS perspective, from the application perspective, from a database perspective. So all together, it's going to be part of the system analysis, right? So identifying problem, analyzing is little fun when you get into it, right? When it's always good to have these problem. Only when there are going to be bottleneck, you'll be able to probably explore, understand your system better, and then provide some good recommendation. So system analysis is going to be part of the performance engineering role. And third is programming, right? Programming, again, expectation is not to be a real SME or core programmer, right? It's more into understanding about how a developer is going to think. Like, good to have at least one programming language, at least at a beginner to intermediate level, either Java or .NET or Python, whatever language, at least one will be a good to start. Not at a core development. We're not going to be a core developer, right? It's more into understanding basics about how to do the programs, how to compile it, how to run it, the way the programs are created, so that when we go and talk about all these performance analysis, performance issue, you will be able to speak in terms of a developer, so that both of you developer or architect will get that confidence in terms of way the things are getting communicated. So programming is going to be good to have, definitely. And then the concepts of networking and administration. Of course, you're going to connect to a Windows, you're going to connect to the OS. There are going to be servers connected over the network. In terms of identifying the network latencies, or executing your programs, executing your performance monitoring tools. So from all these perspective, networking and administration is going to be one more component that would be good to have skills when it comes to the performance engineering. So altogether, there are so system analysis, your programming, and then the networking. Hearing some noise. Let me go on mute. Okay, fine. So yeah, this is the expectation from the market or from any projects. But let's see how this is going to pan out, right? Can you go on mute? Um, okay, fine. So from the we have seen in eye level or in general what is expectation from the market, right, or from the organization or from the JD, from the interview perspective. But more from the overall SDLC, if you look into the software development lifecycle, right, that is where when compared to a performance tester, the performance engineer will pretty much have role across your life cycle, right from your requirement till you move the code to the production, and even when the application is running in production, right? With the DevOps and the teams are getting optimized, where everyone has to do everything. Like a developer has to do development testing, or a functional tester has to do functional testing, performance testing, performance engineering. The team size are getting reduced, optimized because of all these DevOps culture, pod culture. So which means the expectation going forward is going to be, you will not have a separate performance tester. You will not have separate performance engineer. Maybe even one person will be expected to do all kind of a testing and engineering. So which means the role of a performance tester will get probably, I won't say it won't get reduced a lot, but to be getting into this kind of a culture, it is good to have multiple skills so that you will play a part in the entire life cycle. Otherwise, with testing alone, you will be involved only during the testing phase, right? So in a 1 year project, your role will be there for only for 2 months or 3 months. If you're going to expand your skills and probably know more about performance engineering, and then play a role of a performance engineer, then you're going to have the work right from your requirement till it goes to production, and also during the production. So these are the various activities, right? From a requirement perspective, when a product is getting designed, when a product requirement is getting designed, so more in terms of talking to the business analyst, talking to your product owners, understanding the non-functional requirements and defining it, and then getting it approved is going to be one critical activity. Either analyzing the production or production logs, or if it's going to be new product, getting it from your product owners. A performance engineer is going to do that activity from a requirement phase. And then moving to design, reviewing those design that is done by the architects versus the non-functional requirements, right? Is it the design going to meet the non-functional requirements? Will it meet the load requirements? Will it meet the SLA? So understanding the design and then mapping that with the non-functional requirements is going to help us to correct any problem at the design level itself. So again, a performance engineer will play a role during design as well. And then during the development, all set of activities are going to come into place. Your code profiling, memory leak analysis, finding the problem with your methods, client-side analysis. So all these things are going to be part of your continuous tuning, continuous profiling, optimizing the code, where a performance engineer is going to be part of the development activities. And then when the code is getting deployed to the performance environment, when you want to run load test, endurance test, scalability test, again, a performance engineer is going to be part of the creating the monitoring strategy, monitoring the system, doing the thread analysis, heap analysis, garbage tuning, database analysis. All these things are going to be performed by a performance engineer. And then when the code is going to be deployed in the production, it more from a synthetic monitoring, setting up the synthetic monitoring, and getting a lot of metrics from the real user monitoring tools, giving that feedback from the production back to your testers and product owners. So it's going to be continuous cycle of from requirement till production, and in production, a performance engineer is going to do a lot of these activities continuously. Okay, so the course as well is structured in the way that, let me go to the next slide. Okay, the course is also structured in the way that we from the start to end, it is going to go through a typical life cycle, right? We are going to simulate in such a way that you and me are going to be in a project where a new application is getting developed, and we are going to get involved early in the life cycle. And then how are we going to find problems, various problems with respect to response time or thread or memory, or what are the various problems that will come when an application is getting developed? How are we going to test it? How are we going to troubleshoot it? That is how the course is going to be covered from an end to end. Okay. Before even going to the exact course content, I want to just spend a minute on this, right? As I said, we saw what are the expectations from the market or from the industry, right? When it comes to performance engineering, but it looks like when we look into it, it looks like it's a huge topic. Lot of things to learn. I mean, is it possible to go there or not. They're expecting programming, they're expecting system analysis, networking. Is it possible for me to move towards performance engineering, right? In most of the cases, almost 90 to 95% of the cases, you will not see a person who is getting directly into performance engineering. You might have seen a tester once after you completed your college, right? Probably you might have started as a manual tester, or a functional tester, or a performance tester, or a developer, but nobody will be starting their journey as a performance engineer right away, right? There is no such direct roles into it. You always have to evolve, and good place to evolve is either you are going to be developer, where you will get into performance engineering, or you are going to be tester, who will get into the performance engineering. So always there is going to be a start, and you're going to start without any knowledge about performance engineering, right? So, assuming that you have a testing knowledge, it is not going to take a lot, I would say, if you're going to put some kind of effort towards going there. When I say effort, one is more about learning things probably over the internet, probably videos, theoretical stuff. But unless otherwise you get an opportunity to do an hands-on in your real project, you will not really get a confidence, right? That is going to be a real blocker. Yeah, unless otherwise we do something, it is going to be always going to be a kind of a block for us, whether I'll be able to do it, whether I'll be able to go to talk to a developer, whether I'll be going to talk to architect saying you have a memory problem, you have a response time problem. Will they accept my recommendation? Will they accept my observation? Will they think whether I'm not good enough? So that is the main roadblock even I had when I was there as a tester. And it is not going to take a lot of effort. Two things: one, you have to learn the basic concepts, the foundation blocks, and then as we learn, you need to put that into practice. And most of the time we will not get that opportunity directly in the project. That is where we should get all these things into our own lab, or our own laptop, I would say, right? Whatever we are going to learn from today for the next 3.5 weeks, right? If you would be able to replicate that in your own laptop, whatever we are going to learn about the tools, the way the code is going to get developed, deployed, analyzed, if you could just follow the sessions and then practice it, probably even after the sessions, after these 3.5 weeks, we can continue doing it, and have everything in your laptop, get an hands-on. Definitely you will get that confidence to then take up your engineering role when it comes, right? So we cannot wait till something is going to come. That is how I see how easily we can go from performance tester to engineer. Learn, practice, don't wait for our opportunity to come. When it comes, always there is going to be a demand. You should know all these things, right? So if you can create your own environment, having a sample application, deploying it, creating some problem in your code, and then testing it, finding problems. If you can do that in your laptop, then you will be able to confidently say, I have done this, I have done that, I know how to deploy, I know how to profile it, I know how to analyze the problem. That is exactly what we are going to do over the sessions, right? We are going to go from shift left to shift right. We are going to think like we are going to have an application where it's going to get deployed. We are going to build the code by ourselves. We're going to deploy it. We're going to test it. We're going to identify performance problem. We are going to profile. We are going to diagnose. We are going to recommend, right? All these things are going to be practical sessions which I'm going to perform in my own laptop. And for each of these practical sessions, before that, we will have a foundation session where we'll talk about the concepts. We'll talk about what exactly it's all about, and then followed by the practical session. Okay, that's how each and every session is going to be structured. So now let's go into the exact course content, right? As I said in the beginning, before even we start with performance engineering, right, it's always good to have a certain knowledge about programming, right? so that when we going to find problems, when we are going to analyze some problems, we always know what it is. It should not be a black box for us, right? Most of the time testing is going to be black box, but when it comes to engineering, it is good to be your system has to be kind of a white box where you know exactly what it is inside, so that you'll be able to better do the analysis. So we are going to think like a developer, and then get into some real Java basics, JVM basics. We are going to write some programs. We are going to see how to create a class, how to create a methods, what is object, creating multiple class files, linking it, and then compiling it, executing it, and then creating a jar file, creating a war file, deploying into a Tomcat. So we are not going to go into the level 2, level 3 of Java and all, right? The idea is somebody wanted to get into a performance engineer. Before going there, it is very important to know at least these basic, whatever that is basic that is required for a person. That is what we are going to look into it from a think like a developer Java basics JVM session, right? This is what we will start from tomorrow. We will start with this particular session. Okay. Again, this is going to be, I mean, if you look into the top right corner, right, it would be mentioned that whether it is going to be a theory or a practical, or it's going to be just a prior theory. So just for you to understand how it is going to be, right? So this is going to be a combination of theoretical concepts plus followed by the practical hands-on session. Okay. Second, as I said, from once we know about the basics of Java, and how to code, how to compile, how to create multiple class files, how to get a jar file, how to get a war file, right? Then we are going to move into a situation where we are going to put ourselves in a position where a new application is going to get deployed. We are going to build that code, we are going to deploy it, and we're going to start testing it, and we're going to see a lot of problems, and we are going to address the problem one by one, right? So we'll go through each of these problems, and then we'll try to fix it using couple of tools. We'll be using Eclipse to build the code. We'll be deploying it in the Tomcat, and we'll use a combination of JProfilers, Visual VM, your JConsole, and various other tools as well as we move along the troubleshooting sessions. So we'll start with the response time problem, how to solve the response time problem. When you see a high response time, how are we going to address it? Where we'll start understanding or probably guessing what could be a problem, and from there, how are we going to move towards analyzing it and providing recommendation. Okay, and then from a response time problem, we'll also look into the memory problem. How to understand or how to start with even knowing is there a problem or not. If there is a memory problem, what are those memory leaks? How to analyze those memory leak, how to optimize it, and before each of these sessions, right, from a memory problem or from a garbage collection problem, we will also look into the again from a foundation perspective. We will look into the all these things are going to be real hands-on, where I am going to create problems. I'm going to find out these problem diagnostic and then provide recommendation. But before that, before going to the practical, everything will have a foundation theoretical session of explaining the concepts of JVM, within JVM, how each of components are configured, how it works, from what is memory from a JVM perspective, thread, what are the thread from a JVM perspective. So every session is going to have these foundation blocks of theoretical concepts that is very important for us from an interview perspective, from knowing exactly what happens behind the scene, and then we will get a problem, a real-time project where we are going to create problems in the code directly, and then we are going to deploy those code, and then find the problems, and then go and fix it. Okay, that's how the sessions are going to be. So from a response time problem, we'll go to the memory problem, and then we will be going into the garbage collection memory perspective. We'll go and look into the various configuration with respect to garbage collection, how to find out problems with the garbage collection, what are various collectors are available, right? So detailed sessions on memory and garbage will be done in the sequence. And then the other component where we would find problem is with respect to thread contentions, thread connections, right? So we'll look into the threads and thread dump analysis. So memory dump, heap dump analysis followed by thread and thread dump analysis. In the slide below, you will see the tools mentioned, right? What tools we'll be using it. In the top right corner, it will say whether it is going to be a theory or practical. Most of these things are practical, right? Nothing without practical, without we doing hands-on. Hands-on, when I say hands-on, it's all about we'll have the code. I'll also show what project we are going to use for this session. So it's all going to be code. We're deploying it and then testing it using tool, finding out the problems. Okay. So then once from application perspective, we'll look into the response time problem, memory leak analysis, heap dump analysis, garbage collection analysis, and then thread and thread dump analysis. And then so the session 1 session 2 doesn't mean it's a day 1 day 2. It's more about logically ordered, so it doesn't mean we will be completing the response time analysis in 1 day, memory in another day, garbage in another day. All these things are vast section, right? It will go for minimum of 2.5 days every sessions. So it depends upon how intense the contents are going to be. So sessions are just a logical orders of the topics, not the day 1 or day 2. Okay. And then yeah, from a thread and thread dump analysis, we will go to the database side. We will look into mainly we'll focus on the Oracle from a database perspective, and we'll also look into the some of the NoSQL database that are picking up in the market, right? So in current architecture, you would see both your SQL as well as NoSQL databases. So we definitely wanted to know about what are those NoSQL database. When it comes to monitoring, what are the options available for monitoring your MongoDB or Elasticsearch. And from Oracle perspective, I mean, anyway, that is going to be your core database in most of the enterprise applications. We wanted to go in depth understanding how the Oracle architecture works. How are we going to analyze the problem with respect to database, the AWR reports, and then the your ADDM tools and Oracle Enterprise Manager tools. So we are going to go in depth about Oracle and also touch upon the current market tools like MongoDB and Elasticsearch from a NoSQL perspective. Okay. Then so we from architecture perspective, from a starting there, we have seen from application perspective, we are looking into response time problem, memory leak problem, garbage collections, thread issues. And then the next tier is database. We'll be looking into database. Next problematic area is your browser itself. From your client side performance engineering is going to be a separate topic. We'll be looking into how to identify problems, what are the various activities that we'll do from a client side performance perspective. We'll create problems from the the way the JavaScripts are going to get rendered, the way your resources are going to be optimized. So we'll look into the problems, and we'll also look into the optimization recommendation that we'll give as part of the client side performance. Okay. And then from there we will move on to the monitoring strategy, right? Till now it is all going to be most of them are going to be shift left, right? Early we as a performance engineer going to be part of your application development during the early stage. We have seen all these problems, fine-tuned it, optimized it, and then when we want to do a real load testing, before doing a load testing, as a performance engineer, we have to create a monitoring strategy, and we have to make sure the tools are going to be there proper. So we look into the way the monitoring strategy are going to get created. We'll look in detail about what are the various monitoring tools from a Windows perspective, from Linux perspective. We'll also look into one of the open source tool stack called TIC stack, right? Telegraph, InfluxDB, Grafana kind of a tool where we don't have an AppDynamics or probably your Dynatrace kind of a tool. How can we make use of these open source tools? So we'll again have a good hands-on on setting up all these tools by ourselves. So this monitoring strategy and tool again is going to be a combination of from a strategy perspective. We are going to talk about more from a real time how the strategies are created. And more from practical, we are going to look into the Windows performance monitoring, your Linux monitoring, and then application monitoring, and then the tick stack. And then we also look into the quick introduction about AppDynamics also, how to set up the AppDynamics at a will not go into in depth about the AppDynamics or Dynatrace, but we'll definitely look into how to configure the AppDynamics with your application practically, how to get your data from application to AppDynamics, and identifying problems using the AppDynamics tool. Okay. And then we'll also talk about the synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring. This is going to be more of a knowledge sharing session, right? This alone, till now, it's all completely combination of your theory plus a lot of practicals. This production monitoring alone, since it's going to be a kind of a production monitoring, we won't be able to do that hands-on by ourselves. So we'll talk about the synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring, where it is used, how it is used. As a performance engineer, how we will use. Okay, so this is going to be more of knowledge sharing session from a production monitoring perspective. And then we'll move on to the couple of important topics that is more from today's market, right? All these first 10 sessions are very good to know. Definitely we are going to have that knowledge for us to move from a performance tester to performance engineer. But when we go into an interview, or probably when you want to discuss with any of your in your organization, these things are going to be hot topic, right? DevOps, about continuous testing, continuous monitoring, your mobile performance, your cloud resiliency. So these things we are going to talk. Even this is going to have a kind of a practical plus knowledge sharing, but we are not going to go in depth into any of this area, right? All these things are itself it's a broader topic, but definitely as a performance engineer, we should know what is what, basics about it, basics both about the concepts as well as the practical, right? So this is going to be introduction into your DevOps, continuous testing, your mobile performance, cloud performance, and resiliency. Okay, so we'll for each of these things, DevOps will look into the concepts. We'll also look into some practical sessions of doing continuous testing, continuous monitoring. We'll talk about the resiliency engineering also from cloud perspective. And then we will move on to the non-functional requirements or engineering strategy. Okay, so in fact this is going to be this has to be a first topic, because this is going to talk about what is non-functional requirement, how an engineering strategy has to be created. But the way I wanted to do is, if this is going to be done at the first session, this is going to have a lot of theoretical stuff, and whatever I'm going to talk about inside that, it will be mostly you might not know about it, right? When I'm going to talk about the monitoring strategy or profiling or probably the threat dump analysis, which is going to be part of your strategy, you might not know all of these things. So the idea is we will get to know everything during our initial 10-11 sessions, and then now when we are going to talk about how to gather the non-functional requirements, how to create an engineering strategy, then you by yourself will know what might go into the strategy, what might be part of the non-functional requirements. So it will be easy for you to understand once you know the root level details. So that is why we have kept this non-functional requirements and engineering strategy at the end of the course, so that we'll be able to easily correlate what I'm going to talk about. Okay, and yeah, so these are the whatever I have spoken so far will be part of the entire the sessions that will be covered in the patch. Okay, and the expectation from you, right? As I said in the earlier, unless otherwise we are going to do this hands-on, we will not be able to confidently go and talk about it, or when an opportunity comes, we'll not be able to go and do it very easily, right? So but better it is good to have this kind of an environment in you with you, right, at your home, either with your laptop, or probably if you have any of your Mac machine, whatever it is, right? Minimum prerequisite, minimum environment. If you have these things, it will be very, very good. Laptop, latest Java installed, Eclipse, Tomcat, a sample Java application, of course a Chrome browser, a Notepad++ or any editor, and couple of tools. Okay, if you could able to have this basic things, not a mandatory, but I mean, if you're really interested, if you really wanted to focus on moving from PT to PE and to effectively make use of the sessions, right? Whatever sessions we are going to look into next 3.5 weeks to effectively for you to learn. At least this setup you should have it in your laptop so that you can practice at the end of the day, or at least in the over the weekend. If you can practice it, it would be really great. Okay, to assist you, what we will do it here is, once you enroll, right, we will provide you the access to some of the Google Sheets and then Google Drive, where you will have all the details about it. Say this Google Sheet will be shared with you, which will provide you the link to all the softwares that we are talking about, right? Your latest JDK, how to set this Java on your laptop, the Eclipse and Tomcat, and the tools, whatever you wanted to, we wanted you to install your Visual VM or a JProfiler, and also we'll provide you the link to download some sample Java application with the code, which you can import it in Eclipse and deploy it in the Tomcat. So all these basic softwares which I'm talking about in the slide, that you will get it as part of the once you enroll, we will provide you this access to the sheet so that you can take it and download it and have it ready, right? Similarly, so this sheet will be shared across everyone who is going to get enrolled. One, it will have this link to software list. Second, it will have the Q&A section where after every session you will be able to, if you have any questions, if we don't have time during a session, right? If you have anything question to be asked, or probably during a practice or something you wanted to note it down, so that we will either discuss in the session, or probably I'll try to answer it offline, right? You can post your questions. That is how these sessions are going to be. So this is from the previous sessions where we used to collect all the questions. People start putting it, and I'll start answering it after every day, or over the weekend, right? That's how the Q&A is going to work out. And we'll also have a couple of things over the interview questions, what kind of interview questions that are typically asked from an engineering perspective, and then few things whatever we wanted to share it as part of the sessions, right? It will be either in this sheet, some of the templates, some of the other informations, and we also have a Google Drive where all the softwares, all the problems which we are going to create, right? If you look into response time analysis, the code with the response time problem will be here in the drive, which you can download it. And this is what I'm going to use it as I'm going to do the practical hands-on, right? If you wanted to even try it out with yourself, you can also do it. This will be available for you once you are enrolled. The folder access will be given to you for each and everything, for thread issue, memory issue, for Oracle, whatever commands we will be using it to get the AWR reports, sample AWR reports, and then the configuration files for a few monitoring tools, garbage collections. So all these things will be part of the Google Drive. Okay, so one is from the Google Drive perspective, you will get all the softwares that are required, all the Java files which we will use it during the session, and the software links will have the complete list of softwares or links from which you will be able to get much more information about each topic, or the one which you're going to use it for downloading the softwares. Okay, so these access will be given to you. As I said, I mean, the course is going to be completely driven in such a way that we learn something, we practice something in the session, and you can go back, take these files, and then you have it in your environment, and then over the weekend, or at least after the batch is over, you should be able to practice it continuously. So probably after a month or two, when you're going to have everything in your laptop, when you can do all these things whatever we have done in the session, I think that is where it is going to take you from a performance tester to a performance engineer. Okay, so I'll also probably quickly show into the way it is going to work, right? So this is the Eclipse project. We are going to use it, the e-library project. This code is what I've given the link where you can download this code, and you'll be able to import it to the Eclipse project. Okay, and then you'll also have a war file which you can download it from the site directly. And when you're going to copy this war file into the Tomcat, you'll be able to. I'll probably show you the application as well, which we'll be using it for creating problems. I'll probably go and start this Tomcat. So we'll use this Eclipse project not only for the Z library, while tomorrow when we are going to create few programs, so we'll start using Eclipse to writing these programs. So the way I wanted to probably, at least my recommendation would be, today this is going to be the overview session, right? Tomorrow we will start with the basics of Java, JVM, and we'll create some programs over the weekend, right? If you can probably set all these things, right? Your laptop with the latest Java, Eclipse. Once I share this software link, if you can set up all this latest Java, Eclipse, Tomcat, this Java application, right? And if you can have it ready by this weekend, from Monday when we are going to start going to the individual sessions, it will be easy for you to follow that. You can quickly go and download. Say for Monday when you're going to do a response time problem, right? You can go to the Google Drive and you can download this response time code, and then you'll be able to copy it to the Eclipse project, and then you'll be able to exactly repeat whatever you're going to talk about in the Monday on the response time analysis. Similarly, for the again from a Tuesday or Wednesday when you're going to look into the memory problem, you'll be able to download this Java files, and you will be able to go along with the sessions, or at least over the weekend, right? So for that, I think minimal thing is this weekend, if you can do this kind of a setup, right? Once you're enrolled, we will provide you the access to the Drive and sheet, where you'll be able to get complete details about how to set your Java, from where to download Eclipse, where to download Tomcat. All these things are going to be part of that. So it will be easy for you to get started with the session. Otherwise, it is still okay. I mean, you can follow the sessions. You'll have your all these recordings with you for you to look into it whenever you want. But my advice is to follow these sessions over the weekend, at least to practice it. Okay, so I think the thing is, it is deployed, and then probably I go it here. Yeah, this is the sample application. We'll be using it for throughout the course, either for running some test or creating the problems in the code, and then we'll deploy it again in the Tomcat, and we'll restart the server. And yeah, so if you, this is a sample application, it's a e-library application where you'll have a login, and then you'll have a list of librarians. You'll be able to add librarians, view librarians. So kind of a simple web application. We'll be using it for our hands-on sessions. Okay, so this along with the Tomcat, this along with your other tools is what it requires for you to get started with the hands-on. Okay, so with this I'll probably take a pass. Okay, and then if we can spend probably some another 10-15 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll be able to take it up to clarify your questions on the course, the session details, whatever we are going to cover. Yeah, if you don't want to ask the question over the call, feel free to probably, even after the call, after the sessions are over, you can probably message me or yeah, ping me if you have any clarification. So probably you can go on, probably unmute, and if you have any questions, you can ask that. Feel free to ask it, or if in case if you don't want to ask the question now, you can also do it offline after the call as well.
Hi, Satish. So one quick question on the training with respect to hands-on. So we discussed about deploying Tomcat on our laptops, right? So what about the database configuration? Do we need to do something with respect to the database download?
Okay, so for the application to work, database is not mandatory. In fact, if you look into the way the librarian did not load anything because I didn't start the SQL server in my laptop. So we have this application is tagged into MySQL server. So I'll also have the link in the Excel sheet, which is going to have the instruction to download the MySQL server, and also the configuration that you have to make it in the code for connecting to your database. So all these things are going to be part of the will provide this data. You can if you have done set up all these things, initial Java, your Eclipse is done, your application is deployed, you can also go ahead and configure this database so that the database part also will work for you from an application perspective, and we'll also be able to troubleshoot problems with respect to database queries also. Yes. To answer the question, yes, you can go and configure the database, for which we will provide you the information. I will provide you the information, and we'll also diagnose the problem with respect to database queries more from a SQL perspective. But when we move on to the Oracle sessions, right, where we look into the Oracle database. For Oracle database also, I have installed the Oracle database in my mission. Similarly, we'll also provide the details on how to install the Oracle database, how to configure it. Those details will be part of the Google Sheet or Google Drive. Yes, I think I have answered your question. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Oracle, we will be switching from MySQL to Oracle
Correct.
during the
Yeah,
trainings.
Yes.
Okay.
I have Oracle installed in my mission, where I'll be able to probably only thing is we'll not be able to create lot of problem with the Oracle database, because unless otherwise you're going to create hundreds of tables and you're going to run a very huge load test, you will not see a lot of problem with the Oracle. But yes, we will use the real Oracle database, where you log into the Oracle as an admin. We'll see how to enable snapshots, how to create snapshot, how to create AWR reports, how to store it. All these things will be done practically with the real Oracle database.
Okay, thank you. And one more question on the AppDynamics, right? I mean, AppDynamics, it's basically an enterprise tool. I mean, how do we get the hands-on session on that?
Okay, so two things, right? The intention of the course itself, where you don't have an AppDynamics or Dynatrace, how are we going to do the monitoring? That is how initially the monitoring session will start. But more from, I know we are always going to, most of the time in the interviews and in the, even if you wanted to go into a project, they might always ask about what are the APM tools we have used. In that perspective, AppDynamics offers you the something called AppDynamics Lite. Okay, so I mean, more of a freeware where you can always use it for your continuously. So there's a trial version. Even after that, you can use it continuously. So that is, we'll have that session hands-on on how to install AppDynamics, how to configure it with this e-library application. We'll connect the e-library application with the AppDynamics, and we will do the diagnostics hands-on. Yes, that is possible, Felix. That we are going to do it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to ask, we can also do that offline. Not a problem. After the session today, tomorrow is going to be one more demo session. It's not an actually demo session. The sessions are, I would say, even the today whatever information I have shared, nothing is something I have. I wanted to make it very clear so that everybody understand that. So day one is today more of a overview. From tomorrow, the actual session will get started. But I think you can feel free to attend it tomorrow as well, just for you to get much more confident on how this is going to go. And today and tomorrow, you can probably send your questions offline. to me or to Kumar, and if you have any questions on either with respect to the course schedule or course fees or anything related to the course content, yeah, feel free to ask a question in the WhatsApp, or you can probably message me as well. So we'll wait for probably 5 more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hey Satish, it's me Divin. So what are we means doing, like if we are missing the session 1 or 2 days, or how are we going to cover it up, or how can we do that?
Okay, so one if you are going to miss the particular day, right? The video of that session will be available within the end of the day, within say I would say 6 to 8 hours. By the evening or late in the evening, the video will be available. Okay, so you will be able to access those video, and then you will be able to understand what you've done through the session. Yeah, that is a one option for you to so that you will not miss any of these content. The session will not be repeated in case, say for example, if for whatever reason, right, probably it could be some, I don't know whether any national holidays are coming or any regional holidays are coming. If that is the case, when most of us are wanted to probably take a break in between any of a day in common, probably will not have a session on that particular day. We'll decide that earlier itself. I don't know, next 3 and a half weeks. I don't know what regional holidays are going to come in. But for any specific absentees, right, we'll not be able to repeat the session, unfortunately. But definitely, the videos will be available for you to take it up.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Sure. Any other specific questions on the probably so okay, probably from a schedule perspective, right? As I said, each session is not each day. So from the previous batch experience, I would say it will go for at least minimum of 30 hours. 27-30 hours is what it usually go. So which means we normally start at 7 a.m. IST. We'll just wait for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not like today, till 7:10. So mostly we'll start the session by 7:02, 7:03, and then session will go till probably till 8:10, 8:05, 8:10, 1 hour, 10 minutes, and then probably we'll spend 10 more minutes on the questions. So it will be mostly in between, average of 1 hour 15 minutes is what every day we will have it. And then so yeah, maximum it will go to 3 weeks, 3+ weeks. It depends upon each batch, but on an average I would say it will go for yeah, minimum of 3 weeks. That Monday to Friday, Monday morning IST to Friday morning IST is what the course would be, from a 7 a.m. to, I would say, a maximum of 8:30 a.m. IST. Okay. For every so this whatever the files I am talking about, this will be given prior to you, so that either you can have these things set up before even the session. Say, for example, tomorrow if I'm going to do a memory analysis session, those files are already available for you. So which means you can set it up in your machine. Either you can do it along with me. The recommendation is nothing to do practical sessions along with the what I'm going to talk, so that it will be difficult for you to even listen and do it. So during a session, you will be recommended to listen to it, understand it. Probably you can ask questions. Maybe if you have time after the day session in the evening, you can go and probably practice it, or over the weekend. So that is a recommended option to follow the sessions. Okay, so I think
Okay,
we'll.
Satish. Okay,
Yeah,
Satish, one last question. So,
no, sure.
with, okay, sorry. will you be talking something on batch performance testing as well during this course?
A batch performance testing, if you've seen the course content, it is not there. But if you're something really interested in that batch performance testing, we can probably discuss about it during, I would say, um, non-functional requirements. We can talk about it, or if you can just put that question in the Q&A, right? I'll try to get you good information about it, or also we'll talk about it so that we'll not forget it, right? Since it's not part of the topic, we'll not dedicate that time. But right. If you in case put that question in the sheet, we'll definitely cover it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just like a basic overview of what to take, what to consider and what not to. Just a simple basics. Yeah. So, thank you.
We definitely have an open session, any of the in between, right? When you wanted to probably take little bit offline, and then not offline, not in the sense where we'll talk offline discussion during a session, probably after a week or weekend off. Any of these questions that are there in the Q&A sheet, right? We can pick it up, and then probably we can discuss that more from a real-time perspective. So batch performance could be one of the things. You can just put that in the question and Q&A sheet so that we will not lose track of it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. And as I was mentioning about the each sessions, right? Probably a quick overview on. I was saying about the foundation blocks. Each session will have it, right? So I'll have the slides for each of the sessions as a foundation block for me to get into the theoretical concepts for each of these sessions, right? So I'll go over each of these slides for, say, for example, monitoring. I'll go through a couple of slides. Content more from a concept perspective, similarly for NFR, similarly for database, similarly for the client-side profiling, similarly for the Java memory threads, and then JVM basics. So all these things as the foundation block, I'll be using these slides so that to explain the concepts underlying blocks, and then followed by the practical sessions where we'll be using the combination of the Eclipse code plus the e-library application and all these tools like your JProfiler or JConsole, JVisual VM, your memory analyzer tool. All these combination of tools we'll be using it. So that is going to be the pattern you will see. You'll see the slides more from a concept perspective, more from a fundamental block perspective. I'll be using the slides, and then moving over to the Eclipse and Tomcat and all the tools for us to practically do it and understand and diagnose the problems. Okay, fine, guys. I think thanks a lot for your time in attending this demo. And if you have any questions, feel free to put that, anything related to the course content from the session perspective, or from the course schedule perspective, or from the course fees perspective. Please, you can WhatsApp or message me or Kumar, and we'll be able to take it up. Or if you wanted to probably spend a couple of minutes, if you want to have any conversation as well, just ping me and we can connect offline whenever we both have time. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.